15 years, blowing the doors off the competition, podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRnetworks.com.
I am Sador of the Mount Lori. I have come with my forces to conquer you. If you resist, I will crush you. I possess a stellar converter, the most powerful weapon in the universe. You cannot resist me. I want your planet to be my colony.
Cavebabble. Hello and welcome to Cavebabble episode 271. This week's episode, Battle Beyond the Stars. That's right. How do you battle beyond the stars, babe?
Well, watch this movie and you will find out.
What is beyond the stars? I didn't see anyone beyond the stars. Isn't it just, what is that? Just nothing out there?
So should it be battle amongst the stars?
Yeah, it just doesn't sound the same, does it?
No,
No,
yeah. I mean, but I guess it could, unless they're talking about the stars in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But this wasn't done in Hollywood. We'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah, this was definitely, if that's the case, it's definitely a battle beyond the stars because
there you go.
There weren't any here.
That's my theory.
That's not true.
That's
there were
not
lots
true.
of names in this one.
Lots of them. In fact, two very expensive actors that got the majority of the budget. We'll talk about that too.
Okay. This week's episode is brought to you by I'm Wearing Your Foot.
That's
Come on.
I'm wearing your
I'm wearing your foot.
or your arm or your head or your
I thought that was going to go so well.
It did.
See, I came up with that one just a few minutes ago, everybody, and I didn't tell Valerie what the tag was going to be, what it was brought to you this week, and I was just sure it was going to hit well, and which is to mean I said I like it, so you're not going to, and that's exactly what happened. We know each other so well.
So yeah, this movie is quite the cross between many films. They did a lot of stealing ideas from other films.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
And I'm Valerie.
Welcome to our podcast.
Yes, I know. We've been busy with, busy being not busy and being safe during this pandemic.
I died and was brought back to life by using other body parts, so.
Yeah, so that's why it's taken us a little while to get to this podcast. We've been a little distracted. Had been working 65-hour work weeks.
Yes, you were.
And, which was very exhausting. So, but knock on wood, as long as people are smart, maybe we won't have a second surge and we can get through this, huh?
For those listening after the fact, years from now, assuming this will even be up years from now, we're talking about the COVID-19 pandemic.
That hit our area, began in China in December, hit our area here in the Midwest right there at the beginning of March and has hijacked us until now, the middle of May.
Mid-May?
And it's still active, so I shouldn't say it hasn't ended. It's still in progress.
Yes, it is. Wow, that brought it down, didn't it?
It did. It did. Well, when you were talking about, no, we won't go there with
No.
transplanting limbs.
Oh my goodness, babe.
You started it.
I did not. Oh, yes, I did. I usually do.
We have lots of parts right now. We
Okay.
could transplant anybody. We could build a whole spaceship of Frankensteins.
Let's hop into the time machine, babe. And go back to the future. I don't know what year this is supposed to take place. It's not in our galaxy anyway. No, yes, it is, because Earth, someone is from Earth.
Someone's from Earth, yeah.
So actually, they hop galaxies. I don't know. They're all over the place. It's not just one galaxy. They're from all over the place.
Yes, that sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just get into it. It's time to visit the world of Roger Corman. Blah, blah, blah. Schlocky producer Roger Corman.
Why did you say him when he's uncredited?
He's uncredited. Well, he's a producer, though.
Oh, that's true.
This is his production. Yep. What are we talking about? 1980s Battle Beyond the Stars.
Ruthless invaders, a defenseless planet. Battle Beyond the Stars. A lone youth escapes on a last-ditch mission that begins at the edge of the universe. Battle Beyond the Stars.
Rated PG for your family viewing pleasure.
Rated PG for your pleasure?
You know, sex.
Family viewing pleasure.
There's just
IMDb gives it a 5.5 stars. Rotten Tomato only gives it 2.
2%?
2 stars, yeah, or whatever they do. Yeah, they only
2%.
Wow, I don't say 2. They just give it 2 stars. Is that what it means on Rotten Tomatoes? I don't.
I've got to
Sorry,
know.
Rotten Tomatoes. I don't go there.
Battle the Stars. 1980. I'm going to it. 45%.
Okay, there you go.
42% audience score. Yeah, I could see that. You liked it, right? Okay. This is another one of those movies. Here's how the podcast goes sometimes, everybody. They're like, we need a topic for the podcast. And you're like, yeah, whatever you want. Just go ahead and, let's do something. Because you're so upbeat and so forgiving, really. And then I go and I pick crappy stuff like this and I make you watch it and I act like you had a good time doing it.
And my comment at the end of the film was, well, I stayed awake during it, but I did yawn several times.
Well, probably after the 28th ship-to-ship battle that all looked the same, that was probably when you started to zone out.
Probably, yeah. I kept waiting for it to develop a plot, and all it really did was, oh, look, a spaceship with new creatures. Oh, another spaceship with new creatures. You know, where's the plot? Where's the character building? Yeah.
At the time of this production, it was the most expensive movie that Roger Corman produced. How much was it made for? Did you see?
$2
million.
Oh, not $2. $2 million.
That's right.
Okay.
$2 million. And I think it's all on the screen.
And most of it went toward paying the salaries of George Papard and Robert Vaughn.
Oh, man, now you've ruined our cast list.
Oh, no, we haven't. That's just, we're talking about money right now. And Roger Corman, he actually, to save money, he produced this in his own studio.
Ah, yeah.
In Venice, California.
In Venice? Oh, really? I didn't know the studio was in Venice. I probably should have known that, but I didn't.
Now you do, see?
The more you know. Okay, what is this movie about? Well, first of all, let's talk about the director. Jimmy T. Murakami, directed by however you say his name. He was an animator.
Yeah, a veteran animator.
Yeah, mostly known for animation. I think
co-directed Humanoids from the Deep with
Roger Corman. Yeah. And he did the animated version of the Snowman story, I think. Do you know the Snowman? Do you know that story? You would know it if you saw it. I think he did the animated version of that, and he also directed one of the animated sequences in Heavy Metal, the animated anthology film. He did the soft landing part, which is really the intro bit, where the guy comes out, it drops out of the spaceship in his car and comes down to Earth. And I think all of the interstitial things that the orb is saying to the kid in the house in between the segments on Heavy Metal, he directed that stuff.
Cool.
Those that know Heavy Metal know exactly what I just said.
And all I heard was blah, blah, blah,
blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. That's as far as we'll go with it.
Well, that's why, there's both of us on this, because you appeal to one type of genre, and I hope my conversation appeals to the other, and from that we might get a few listeners.
You wouldn't believe how popular I am with guinea pigs. You wouldn't believe it. They are wild about me, babe. Wild about me.
You're
Yeah.
You're popular with children's story times. They love to listen to your voice.
Aw, isn't that sweet? Well, I love doing them, so I hope they enjoy them. Okay, what is this movie about? You ready?
What is it about?
Ready for my synopsis?
Yeah, I'd like to know what it's about. Even after watching it, it was kind of hard to tell.
This is what IMDb has to say. A user like us that drops in and puts a synopsis and they say, yeah, that sounds good. 7 space warriors do battle to save a peaceful planet from a ruthless conqueror who promises to give his laser-toting mutant followers eternal life by grafting victims' organs and limbs onto their aged bodies. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, really? Is that what this was about?
I thought the only one that was getting the body parts was the main bad guy.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I mean, he had an interesting crew that looked like I said, and that's where Frankenstein comes in. It looks like Frankenstein, his crew is a bunch of Frankenstein creations. So,
but they all had I guess that's the Malmori were the bad guys in this one. That's the name of that race, I guess. They all had the same, it looked like the scar, like a folded bit across their forehead, straight down the center of their foreheads almost.
Yeah, like they had
kind
an
of from
axe,
one side. Yeah, like someone whacked them in the head
into
with an axe, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they all looked that way, so that had to have been like a racial thing, right?
Must have been.
Or did they all get operated on the same way?
Or were they so smart that their brains didn't fit in their skulls?
That's what it was. And they showed that over and over again, didn't they?
Not how smart they were.
Okay, so you heard 7 space warriors at the beginning of that synopsis. That's because this is yet another version of the Seven Samurai. That's even for me to say. The Seven Samurai, the
and
classic
who was
film.
inspired by the Seven Samurais? Was that the director?
I don't know if it was the director or the writer. Was it the writer that was? Do you have that trivia?
It didn't appear to be the writer.
Well, it was probably Corman. He said, yeah, let's do that.
Had to have been Corman. Yeah, it had to have been Corman.
Maybe because Robert Vaughn is in this film, and he was also in The Magnificent Seven, which was a Western remake of The Seven Samurai. So maybe that's why.
So did that, and it also, the name of the planet, and that was what I was trying to find. I had read it at one time. The name of the planet, Akira
Kurosawa?
Yeah, yep, and that's who...
Oh,
there
cool!
It is.
I didn't even put that together. It was called Akira, wasn't it?
Yeah, the planet Akira and its inhabitants, the Akira, were named that way in honor of Akira Kurosawa,
the famous director. Yep,
who
directed
Seven Samurai.
That's right. Fantastic film. Guess what? We probably
not talking about that one.
No, we probably should have watched that one. We should have watched that one instead.
We have watched that one, and we have podcasted on that one.
Did we?
I do remember that.
Did we?
Yes. You tortured me with that one, too.
It's not torturing. The Seven Samurai is one of the best movies ever made.
Well, in some people's opinions.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Beaches,
that's all the time we have.
Terms of endearment.
The podcast is ending now.
Sound of Music.
We will never record again. Thank
films.
you for listening, everyone.
But do we ever get to talk about them? No. We got to do Battle Beyond the Stars.
Well, let's do that, shall we?
Okay. What's the big idea?
Talk about Battle Beyond the Stars.
Let's talk about
the cast.
Let's go on to the cast. Who stars in this thing? First of all, we have Richard Thomas.
Good night, John Boy.
He plays Shad, John Boy Shatterson. That's his full name.
Shad Rockin'.
Shad.
Whenever I hear Shad, I think of Veggie Tales.
All I was hearing all the way through was Shat. Oh, I shat.
He shat.
Oh, man, I shat.
Oh,
yeah, poor Shad.
Did you know?
No.
He was born June 3rd, 1951 in New York City.
New York City?
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't know. He's a New York kid?
Yeah, he's a New Yorkian.
He wasn't born...
He's from the Big Apple.
He wasn't born in the country in a big farmhouse?
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Exactly. I know. I thought he was
I didn't
He
know that.
wasn't a farmer. He was a New Yorkian.
I don't think they were farmers. Didn't they own a lumber mill?
Richard Thomas, of course, we're saying John Boy because of the Waltons. Those, what's the Waltons, Mommy? Most of our listeners don't know what the Waltons is. You know that, right?
Oh, they don't?
Unless they're of a certain age, why would they know?
How many of you have heard about the Waltons and have even watched it?
Think about it.
To know.
Amber doesn't know the Waltons. Courtney doesn't know the Waltons.
They don't?
No. Why would they? We've never watched the Waltons with them.
Oh, we deprived them.
No, that was a long time ago. Look it up, everybody.
They know Little House on the Prairie.
They know Little House on... Oh, the
Amber
books,
does.
but not the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch the show.
I thought, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Now we're going to have to ask them.
I don't think they watched the show ever. I don't know. Maybe so. So what did you think of Richard Thomas? Did he do okay?
I thought he did okay. He seems how most of the other supportive staff around him were questionable.
I don't know. There were some that were just fine. I just think they had not much to work with.
Yeah, probably.
I think,
when they had to throw all their money at the main two. So obviously he was not considered one of the main two because, we debated that, and you probably didn't look it up to see if the Waltons, because he left the Waltons in 1971.
He left maybe
What
before.
I'd like to know is
No, that can't be right.
Thomas left the Waltons, at the end of the 5th season. Excuse me, I stand corrected. Because he had only signed a 5-year contract and he wanted to pursue other acting opportunities.
The Waltons started September 1972 and ran for 9 seasons, canceled in 1981.
Okay.
It was canceled a year after this film came out, but Richard Thomas was not on it at that time. Because he had left, like you say, after like 5 seasons or something like that?
At the end of the 5th season.
So he went from the Waltons to this, and boy, he never looked back because this was so successful. It is considered a cult classic, and it honestly is not as bad as a lot of the films that I make you see, right?
I appreciate your sacrifice, Valerie.
That is true. Some of them are so bad, I actually ended up falling asleep during them. Oh. I did not fall asleep during this one.
Well, let's go on to probably the biggest name in this movie, and that's Robert Vaughn. He plays Gelt, or as I call him, Gelt. I wish this was the Magnificent Seven. Gelterson is his name. He's the mercenary guy.
Oh, this is the mercenary guy.
Robert,
the one with all the money and nowhere to spend it.
Yeah, okay. All the money and nowhere to spend it. That's right. That's Robert Vaughn, who played pretty much the same gunslinger character in The Magnificent Seven, which is why, I named him. I wish this was The Magnificent Seven, because I bet he did the entire time. You know he did.
He was born November 22nd, 1932, also in New York City, and he is no longer with us. He died at the age of 83 on November 11th, 2016, in Ridgefield, Connecticut.
Huh. I like Robert Vaughn. He was definitely of an age. This would have been, I would say, nearing the end of what I would consider his, heyday. But yeah, I've always liked Robert Vaughn. I thought he was just fine. He always plays a decent character. Shall we
I wouldn't say he acted the heck out of it if he was one of the most expensive actors, he,
well, goodness knows
his part didn't have a lot to it.
Well, goodness knows there's never been a famous actor that phoned one in for a paycheck, right? That's never happened in the history of Hollywood. That's for sure. No. Including the next guy, John Saxon plays Sador. Or as I call him, Sador, I'm wearing your foot, Sadormon. Because he does. One of the guys in the ship, they said, well, you know what happened when what's-his-name didn't do what Sador wanted? He's wearing his foot now, he says.
Remember Lobo? He disobeyed orders, and now Sador's wearing his left foot.
Something along those lines. I should put that clip in here. But yeah, to the Malmori that are flying, that are in charge of watching over the planet, which they do a really crappy job of, by the way. So yeah, he's wearing lots of different body parts, but apparently they all are, and we didn't realize it.
Yeah, I guess that was what his ship was all about. He
Hey.
was, this actor was born August 5th, 1935 in Brooklyn, New York. So
Yeah.
the first three that we're talking about are all new Big Apple people.
Maybe that's what they had to be in order to be in this film.
Oh, that could be. Yeah. Maybe that was a requirement. Uh-huh.
I don't think so, but you never know.
His face is very familiar. What do I know him from that we have watched?
Oh, gosh.
Put you on the spot. Bonanza. There we go.
That we have watched. He wasn't a main lead on.
He was the Indian chief, so that's not where I would recognize his face.
Wow. That's not dated at all.
He was married 3 times.
Yeah?
3 times.
John Saxon has been in lots of stuff, but I don't know what I could name offhand that he's been in all kinds of stuff. Just go back and look through his.
That's probably what it is. He's probably one of those actors that's just done a lot of films, and so he's got a very, probably more of a supportive roles than.
Yeah. I know what I know him probably the most from, but you might not, is Enter the Dragon. He was in Enter the Dragon. He's one of the fighters that Bruce Lee met and worked with on that film. So anyway, yeah, John Saxon, he's instantly, if you don't know who that is, just look up a picture and I'll say, oh yeah, him.
Yeah, see, right.
Yeah, all right, John Saxon, he's been in lots of stuff. I'm probably forgetting his most famous role, but that's okay. That's nothing new around here. Get used to it.
That's why our listeners, we depend on you to write in and correct us on these things or add to.
That's
As you're listening to us say, well, of course, Eric and Valerie, it was blah, blah, blah. And then just shoot us off an email and tell us that.
Yeah. And then we'll say, well, who are you?
No, we won't. We'll say, thank you. Now we know, because inquiring minds always want to know.
Yeah. Butt out. No, I'm joking. No, we don't care. You can tell us whatever you wish.
Please, yeah.
All right, we're moving on. We have now we're to Peppard. George Peppard as cowboy,
Be a space cowboy.
But he didn't have an accent though. They did not give him a Southern or a Texas or any sort of accent. He just sounded like George Peppard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He played cowboy. Where's my accent? Yeehawman. That was his last name.
He was born. Do you realize? You know he was born?
Where was
he was born October 1st, 1928 in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh. So
he died at the young age, 65, on May 8th, 1994 in Los Angeles, California.
1994, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Again, he's been in all kinds of things from that time and earlier. He's been in, just look him up. You would know him too. He's in a lot of things.
Don't forget to mention the A-Team.
I've always thought he was just fine. I have never had much of an opinion of George Peppard, either one way or the other. He's fine, but he's not a favorite of mine. But he's kind of everymanish. And
he died of pneumonia.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, I wonder if he ever got his pneumococcal vaccination.
You're not supposed to say those kind of words on this family podcast.
Oh, sorry.
That,
sorry.
Right? God, now I'm going to have to edit that out.
Well, he was young and 65. Usually that's about the age you get your first pneumococcal vaccination.
God, you said it again. Now I'm going to have to edit it again. Jeez.
My goodness. You know how many times this guy was married?
George Peppard?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 times, huh?
Yeah, it's an awful lot of alimony.
Oh, boy. Maybe he died from that.
Alimony and child support, yeah. No wonder, yeah, he had to work so hard.
Pneumococcal alimony.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. He used to be a building contractor first.
Doesn't he look like one?
Mm-hmm.
That does not say. There are some things that on IMDb that you read and you say, yeah, right. Arnold Schwarzenegger used to be an attorney. No, I don't think so.
Oh, wait a second. He was born. His father was a building contractor.
See?
Oh, corrected again.
See, but I would have no problem believing that, even though it wasn't true, apparently.
Try to convince our listeners that he was.
Well, now I'm starting to wonder if Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't an attorney, so... I'm so confused now. George Peppard, look him up.
Yeah. Go watch the A-Team.
Oh man, do I have to say this next person's name? How do I? Okay, Darlan Flugel played Nanelia. Nanelia, who needs acting lessons, Naneliason.
I'm hiring mercenaries for a great battle on the planet Akir.
And we all decided she had to have been director, producer, screenwriter, daughter. Yeah, because she couldn't possibly have got... Well, I guess, she was very pretty, so maybe that's all it took in these days, was just to be very pretty.
We are not trying to say...
slept with.
Yeah, see, now... We are not trying to say that she slept with anyone for this role. We're just saying that she did not get it because of her great acting skill, is all we're saying. I don't know. Maybe she was great.
I know for a fact that is how, and as we know from the news, Hollywood was corrupt like that, that. And when I tried to break into Hollywood, I didn't get very far because I wasn't willing to climb up the ladder on my back.
That's right. Me neither. And that's the only reson that I am not an actor today. That's the only reason
why you're not in.
I will not use the casting couch to my benefit. I refuse.
She was born November 25th, 1953 in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
When did she graduate from acting class from school?
She expired at the age of 64 on December 15th, 2017 in Orlando, Florida.
I'm probably being too hard on her, but really, in this film, she was not much of an actress. Oh my goodness, some of her lines. Ooh, they were read pretty badly. It's easy for me to say. She done real bad.
Yeah, like she definitely was just reading her lines. She started out as a model.
Yeah.
Determined to become an actress.
Mm-hmm. It was history after that. What else has she played in? I don't even know what else she has. She probably did a lot of television. Yep. Wise Guy, Crime Story. She was on a new series, Twilight Zone episode. Yep. She was in The Eyes of Laura Mars first, and then Battle Beyond the Stars. So she had one other credit before this one. And Eyes of Laura Mars, I think I've seen that, but it's been so long that I don't remember much about it at all. Oh, she was in Once Upon a Time in America? Oh my goodness. I don't remember her in that. Anyway.
Well, because her acting skills are so good.
Even near the end of her career in 1996, she was in the classic Dark Man 3, Die, Dark Man, Die. So there you go. Okay, let's move on to another one of the big names. Very big names, babe. Sybil Danning plays Saint X-Men, or as I call her, Saint X-Men. I put the X in X-Men, X-Menson.
I could do wonders for that boy. I would recharge his capacitors, stimulate his solenoid, tingle, dingle, dangle, prangle his transistors. Sex.
Yep, this was her first film role. And I pegged her wrong. I claimed she was like a Playmate of the Year type of thing, and she never was.
She posed for Playboy in 1983, but she was never Playmate of the Year. I can't believe I know that.
I think I associate it because she always played in those sexed up roles like this one. And face it, she looks like she's a Playmate of the Year, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Born May 24th, 1952 in Austria.
I could do an entire podcast of the films that Sybil Danning has played in, and they would be right up the alley of everything that I want to do on our podcast, and you would hate every single one of them.
Yep, because she's known as the queen of the B movies.
Yep. Know her from many, many things, and none of them are very decent.
Again, she got where she was at because of her looks.
Yeah, but she's continuing to work, though. I mean, she's had work. I think she was injured or something. Something that happened to her that she stopped acting for a while and then made a comeback. But anyway, she's beautiful, of course. But acting in this film, she plays how should we say? She's like a female Klingon.
She's a Valkyrie.
But she speaks like a Klingon in that. I'm going to battle in it. That's just like Klingon.
She refers to herself as a Valkyrie in this movie.
And looks like one. There you go. That headdress. Oh my goodness, babe. That she's wearing. That thing, I wonder how much that thing weighed.
Well, later on when she was standing up with it, she was able to. So they just had her in the most awkward position when she was in her ship.
They had her laying back and they shot her from below even. So, of course, her boobs look like they're, pneumatic. Looks like they've been pumped up.
Looking at you like you're, looking up her nose. And so she's looking down her nose at you constantly when she's in her ship.
That's the stupidest ship design, isn't it? Her screen is way down, like you're looking underneath your glasses because you don't have bifocals. And
so imagine driving your car that way. Well, some people do, but
I can't imagine. Yeah, see,
they recline their seats way back.
Oh, I can't do that. Those of you that can do that, that's more power to you. But I cannot drive that way.
No.
Cannot drive that way. So we'll talk more about her as we discuss the film. But anyway. Sam Jaffe plays Dr. Hephaestus. Open body, only Hedinson. Wide open body. Dr. Hephaestus, wide open body, only Hedinson. See, I can't even read my own jokes, so never mind.
He was also a New Yorkian. Born March 10th, 1891. In New York City, died March 24th, 1984 at 93 years old in Beverly Hills.
I really kind of wonder why he was even in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why he was in this movie.
Yeah.
It was a head in a box, and then when Shad comes in to talk to him, he opens the I don't know if he opened, I think it opened on its own. The front of that box opened up so that you could see the inner workings to say, hey, this guy's robotic.
Yeah, he was just a human head and everything else was AI.
Yeah, it was just it was just all these tubes and things underneath there. But I couldn't understand why that opened up. Stare at my cybernetic body as I speak to you. Why did he have to do that? You could see his head. It's not like that had to open up so you could see his head.
It looks like he was blacklisted for a little while. He said he didn't appear on screen for 7 years due to punitive effects of blacklisting.
Sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad he was back, and I'm sorry he had to be in this movie, but I hope he was paid well for it. I don't really have much to say on him because he really wasn't in it for long at all. We have Norman Woodward as Kaman, or as I call him, Kaman, not a Gorn Kamanson. Seriously, he's not a Gorn. Don't call him Gorn. Yeah, he's a lizard dude.
Born September 16th, 1925 in Fort Worth, Texas. Died February 22nd, 2019. At age 93, passed in Paso Robles, California.
Yeah, Paso Robles.
He was in the X-Files. Did you know that?
He was? Played what?
Old Harry Coakley.
I'd have to look at his, because he was in total makeup, so I'd have to see what he looked like here. Morgan Woodward. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do recognize him now that I see his face.
Looks like he was in a daytime soap opera. He was in Days of Our Lives. He played Philip Colville.
He played a lot of stuff. See, now that I see his face, I think, oh, God, yeah, he was in everything as well.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, I think he was more in things than a lot of these guys were. Oh, yeah, instantly recognizable. That's who that guy is. Okay, I didn't know him by name, I guess.
Dukes of Hazzards, Knight Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was in a lot of Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, he was all over television at that time.
Fantasy Island. Mm-hmm. My goodness, yeah, he was in everything.
Yep, seeing his photograph, I realized who he was. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, he was in everything. It's been a long time since then, everybody. Sorry.
Because we didn't see his face. He wore the lizard mask the entire time.
That's right. All right, we have two people. I'm just going to mention them together. Earl Bowen and John Goins. Oh, Earl Bowen and John Goins. Oh, as Nestor 1 and 2. Those are the Nestors.
Yeah.
The white-faced guys.
The empties, as
Earl Bowen, I want to mention because as I call him Nestor 1, I wish I was in the Terminator Nestorson.
See, and you don't even laugh at my jokes either.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Let's hear it again. Okay, wait. Hold on a second.
I said
No, wait. I'm going to go back in time. I'm going back in time right now. Okay, now.
Because you call them the nesters. I call them the empties.
The empty nesters.
Oh, yeah, now you laugh. Yeah, you had to force it.
No, you didn't have to force it. I didn't hear it because I'm so enamored with my own voice. I talked right over you. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. Seriously, I'm not. Skype is the worst because we really can't speak over each other in this recording very much. Anyway,
yeah.
Yes, he was in the Terminator. He played the psychiatrist in the Terminator series. Yeah, that's who Earl Bowen is.
Earl Bowen.
Yeah. John Goins, don't know him. He was one of the other ones.
He was in The Young and the Restless.
Oh. But there were three others as well.
Yeah, I guess they don't get credited because all they did were like probably mirror images. And yeah, these two actually had a little bit more.
They were the only ones with lines. The other ones didn't have. Well, what about the next ones? They go together too. Lawrence Stephen Myers and Laura Cody played the Kelvins.
Tuck and roll.
Talk to talk.
Talk to talk.
Yeah, they were the Kelvins, or as I call them, Kelvin. My race is named for a temperature scale, Kelvinson.
They were hot.
Why would they be called Kelvins?
Well, just for people who don't understand,
But it makes no sense.
Yeah, this was a space opera.
But you wouldn't say, here are the Celsiuses, or here are the Fahrenheits.
Well,
Here's the Fahrenheit race from Fahrenheit. Oh, anyway. They were hot. You're right. They were hot, weren't they? When they wanted to be, they were really hot. As a matter of fact, at one point, they were in those caves and they melted people.
Yeah.
Well, actually just made them vaporize, I guess. They got all twinkly and disappeared for whatever reason. However, that is heat related.
So it had been vaporized.
Something like that. Why couldn't they have just walked through the caves like that and cleared out all the bad guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just send them in first,
Yeah, send them in first. Oh, but it did. Were they able to recharge them or whatever?
Oh, that's right. They had to take them to the protein pit.
They've used all their energy.
Get them to the protein tanks. Hurry.
Come on, let's go.
Oh, that's right. They took them to
So I guess, and when they didn't discuss how long it took for them to recharge. That's
so
true.
Never mind.
So I guess, they waited until to bring out the big guns right at the last.
Oh, this movie, there's nothing they didn't think of? They covered all their bases. This is an ironclad film. All right, only two more, babe. We have Jeff Korey, who played Zed, or as I call him, Zed, soon dead Zederson. They took his death rather harshly, and we hardly knew him. He was barely introduced. But yet when he died, they announced it to everyone like that should have meant something really big.
Well, because he and Nell had a bond. When he passed, she felt it.
Oh, is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see. Jeff Korey's another one of those that was in everything. If you look him up, he's been around a long, long time, or was around a long, long time.
He was one of the top acting teachers in America.
Oh, is that what he was known for? As an acting teacher. I'm sure all the actors are like, of course he was, but...
He was born August 10th, 1914 in Brooklyn, so another Big Apple.
Yep.
And he died August 16th, 2002 in Santa Monica at 88 years old.
That's a nice long life. If you're going...
Santa Monica.
As long as he was doing well up till that point and wasn't too sick, that's the way to go right there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's a nice, long, full life. Whew, thank goodness. Of course, I don't want to read closer to know what he died of. That's not... let's not do that.
Complications from a fall.
Oh, gosh. See? You went to...
Either pneumonia, pulmonary embolism. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Okay, last one I will mention is only a voice, and that's Lynn Carlin played Nell, the voice of the ship.
This isn't going to be just another planetary joyride, you know.
I know that, Nell. I'll do my best not to let you down.
We'll see.
Or as I call her, Nell, are you annoyed yet, Nellerson? I don't know if I could handle that ship. And it
was...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
She was pretty rude.
Yeah. And it wouldn't matter if it was a woman's voice or a man's voice or whatever. I just no, I couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm. Sassy computer.
You sassy ship. All right, so that's the cast. Score was written by James Horner. This was only I think the second or third score that he'd done. And I think his first two were also for Roger Corman movies. I mentioned James Horner and this score because if you know his music from film, especially after this, you are going to recognize this music in all of his other movies, especially the science fiction ones. Oh my goodness, does he ever reuse themes?
This film is actually considered his first major theatrical film.
I thought he had done something for Corman before this.
He probably has, but I guess this is considered his first major film.
Yeah. From our podcast, he did the Kroll, the score from Kroll, which I'm sure I talked about the same thing about its derivative of everything else of James Horner's, and The Wrath of Khan, which I don't think we've done specifically just The Wrath of Khan, only one of my favorite films of all time. That's my favorite score of his just because I love that movie so much. And boy, but oh my goodness, babe, I kept stopping it and I screwed up the streaming a couple times because I was stopping it to write notes. Mm-hmm. Those were some of the biggest notes. It was like, oh, that's just like Jerry Goldsmith's Star Trek, the motion picture soundtrack. And oh, that's just like Wrath of Khan. And, oh, look, that's Kroll. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He apes himself so much. And I know he's known for it, so that's not saying anything new to those that are into scores. But man.
And because Roger Corman spent so much money on the salaries of Robert Vaughn and George Papard, that's why his special effects are not the hottest, because he couldn't afford the more expensive special effect companies at the time. But he employed a young upcoming special effects and created his own in-house special effects department through James Cameron.
Awesome. Right. Credited as Jim Cameron back then.
Yeah. And James Cameron, who will, of course, go on to be a well-known director, met a future producer, Gail Ann Hurd, on this film.
Who was producer for his most famous ones back then, like Terminator and things like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Little Jimmy Cameron.
Never heard of him.
Yepper.
Was art director and visual effects on this movie, I think, and like he has additional credits of like director of photography, special photographic effects, miniature design, and construction. And I have to say, the miniatures on this, we'll talk about the ship here in a minute, but it's actually good. I mean, it's I won't say the top, the highest notch, but honestly, for the $2 million, not bad at all. Mm-hmm. There's some good model work in this movie. Let's talk about that ship, babe. Shad's ship.
Shad's ship.
Nell. What was the name of the ship? I can't even know if it was just called Nell. I don't know.
Yeah, Nell was the onboard computer. Mm-hmm.
Once you said this, I couldn't get it out of my head.
Well, immediately when they showed the ship, it looks like a uterus.
Yes, it does.
The whole thing, uterus, fallopian tube, ovaries. Yeah, it's like when I saw that, it's like, oh, you got to be kidding. Why would they fly a uterus through space?
Yep, flying right, looking right at the front of the ship. It is just pretty much the female reproductive system right there.
It is, yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And boobs at the bottom. That's right. I just said that.
And it was so distracting. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, come on. You couldn't come up with a better design than that. But, of course, the bad guy, Sador's ship, when that's coming on, like your typical Star Trek with the ship coming over, Star Wars mm-hmm. with the ship is coming from behind you over your head, that looks like a Gillette razor.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, that I didn't think of, but yeah, it was definitely aping that opening Star Wars shot with the with the ship coming overhead.
Yeah, Gillette razor. Yeah. Look at it again. It's then you'll never be able to get that because that's all I saw every time they showed the ship. Up, Gillette razor. Yep. Mm.
We both laughed at the beginning when they were scanning that planet. Actually, that was Akir when they were scanning Akira, is like something along the lines of, it's a planet of stone with like one green bit or something like that. What did they say?
A planet of stone with a single green spot.
On Akira, they have this alarm tuning forky thing that how do you describe that thing? Everything it does is obnoxious. It makes lots of nasty noises.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much. Yeah. Lots of obnoxious noises in this show. There were
so many sound effects. They use and they use a bunch of classics, as a matter of fact. Hey, do you recognize this sound, everybody? That would be the torpedo sound from Star Trek. And hey, do you recognize this sound?
Give me a shot.
Battlestar Galactica. I don't know where they got a hold of those. If it was just freely available to them, or if they just ripped them off, or what. I'm not sure.
They used sound effects ad nauseum through this movie to the point of almost distraction.
Especially in the cockpits of the ships. Mm-hmm. They each had their own distinctive sound, but it was so loud in some cases, I thought, there's no way you could ever pilot that thing. It would drive you insane to hear that all the time.
Yeah, constant noise. Mm-hmm.
Even Nell's voice, I mean, she's speaking in this sarcastic woman's voice, but in the background of her voice the entire time is this electronic sound that goes along with it. And I thought, really? Did they need that too?
This isn't going to be just another planetary joyride, you know.
Just to let you know that she's robotic, I guess. But but yeah, all kinds of sound effects in this film, just continuously going. They jump around so much too. It just goes from one situation to the next. Here, we're meeting someone. Oh, we're in a battle. Hey, we're meeting someone else. Hey, we're in another battle. It just goes and goes and goes like that.
Yeah, like I said, it didn't really build characters. It's just like it was like they were going out and there, got number one, got number two, got number three. You're just collecting. It was a movie of collecting the seven.
Yeah,
captains.
Seven Samurai, they do collect them as they go, but there is more development than this. This is
more
just
development of the characters.
It's like, okay, that's 4. They weren't keeping a count, but you could just see it. It's almost like they're counting on their fingers. Go next. What did you think of the bad guy's costume, though, babe?
Yeah, Mm-hmm.
That was shiny. Oh, that was shiny.
Mm-hmm. They probably spent a lot of money on his costume.
Yeah.
No, they couldn't. Yeah, he wasn't one of the high-paid actors.
I liked how that ship was when they were talking about the ship before he first gets into, because it was his brother's ship. Is that his brother? Something like that.
Well, it was the old guy, Ned. It was Ned's ship.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why when he died, she felt his death, because it was his. And
I swear I saw this movie. I did. Mm-hmm. Really, I did. I've seen it more than once, actually. But
well, like I said, I think you were distracted by all the sound effects and you kept stopping it. Oh, look at that! And so I think missed the little bit of plot that this movie had.
I was distracted by note taking. 1, 2, 3, 4. I took 5.5 pages of notes for this film.
Yeah, because Ned was the old blind guy, and he was the original fighter. I mean, he was the original protector of the lands, but then he was blind, and so he couldn't and can't. And so then up came this young upstart, and everybody said, "Oh, but he's just a boy." And Ned said, "Oh, but my ship will, take care of him.
Give me a chance.
Yeah. Right.
Give me a chance." You love this movie so much. I'm glad that you like it so much.
Kaman's race was completely wiped out by Sador, which is why he wanted to come help Shad defeat Sador.
Right.
Because Kaman was the sole survivor of that race.
As a matter of fact, everyone seemed to have some sort of dealings with him, with the bad guy. So apparently all of these galaxies are a pretty small place because everybody knows about him. What was I going to say? Ship is like the Millennium Falcon. Yes, exactly. Because they talk about how junky it is. Yeah, but you got it where it counts.
I guess in the original script, they identify Sador's ship as the Hammerhead. No, it's a Gillette razor.
Yeah, but it does have...
It's not a hammerhead.
But it does have a hammer on the... Okay, it's a razor. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
It's not a hammer. Unless it's a two-headed hammer.
When being Shad, when Shad goes to Hephaestus's place, his ship, right? The place with all the robots, anyway. And he's there. He gets onto this automated cart, which was going down this hallway and almost bumping into the wall. I mean, it was... They were having a hard time keeping that thing in the middle of the hallway. But when he gets onto it, I just loved how it just completely restrained him. It like this bar goes around his neck and it hooks him into that thing. Is that just standard? Because she thought he was a robot. Why would they need to strap in the robots like that to transport them around? Does that thing really go that fast? Because it wasn't trying to keep him prisoner. It was just trying to hold him on there.
Yeah, maybe because, maybe that thing stops and starts so suddenly.
Yeah.
It can throw them. And so that's to protect their robots from being damaged in the violent start and stop knot.
It was probably the transporter that they had installed because it rolled down the same section of hallway about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And just transported back to the beginning and rolled down and back to the beginning and rolled down.
Now, did you know?
No.
That the original title of this film was supposed to be Battle Amongst the Stars.
Thank you.
They should have kept that.
They should have
would have
kept
made
it.
sense.
It makes no sense to be beyond the stars. There's nothing beyond the stars.
Yeah,
You're not going to battle out there.
Battle Amongst makes them. They should have kept that. It doesn't say why they changed it.
When the cowboy shows up in his spaceship, he's got a Confederate flag on the outside of his on the back of his ship. And he's dressed like a cowboy. The only thing they didn't give him was, like I said, a southern accent. Which I guess kudos to them for not going there. But other than that, it wasn't even a big part of it. It wasn't like long live the South or anything like that. It just kind of, I guess, just went with the cowboy part of his. I don't know. Yeah,
maybe just they wanted to do a less obvious flag. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, maybe the Southern Confederate. That's probably exactly what it.
I have great notes like this one that say, "John Boy almost did drugs, babe."
He did, and I know he was almost lured into that Vegas lifestyle there with the sex and the drugs.
With the sex and the drugs and the whatnot. That was where he met Gelt. That was the place that he met Gelt. And he almost took some Quaaludes or whatever they were.
Yeah,
that
just
popped out of the
drugs.
machine. Oh,
yeah, just drugs.
I just liked how he was just going to randomly do it. He looked at it.
He was.
He started to hold it up to his mouth, and then it's like, "Oh no, I probably shouldn't do that." Yeah, no, duh, guy.
Well, I think he was affected by the pheromones in the atmosphere, and he wasn't. And then it was like he would wake up. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah. Same thing with the sex bot. Yeah. What am I doing? Yeah.
John Boy also doesn't think that you should smoke. Cowboy was smoking, and he didn't think that was too cool. He probably shouldn't do that. So, but maybe drugs are okay, but maybe you shouldn't smoke. So,
well, I guess here's a little. So when they created the ship,
the flying uterus,
because it was going to have a female AI, they wanted it to have female curves, and the two engines were supposed to actually look like mammary glands.
Boobs. I said it again.
The underneath, I thought they kind of looked like balls, but
yeah. So what Roger? No, so instead of the ovaries, they were supposed. Well, I guess so. I guess maybe down below. Anyways, Cameron calls it a spaceship with tits. His quote. Yeah.
Now I don't feel so bad.
Those that know this film, you can tell exactly what it looks like.
Most of it's captured as you flying uterus.
After he picks up Gelt, that's when they first meet Saint X-Men, and she's pestering them in her little ship. Wasn't he kind of inordinately mean to her?
Yeah, and that was kind of out of character for Shad.
I thought so too. He was this non-violent guy, but then when she's like, "Oh," as a matter of fact, I think he says at one point, he says, "Ignore her. Maybe she'll go away."
Yeah, stop toying. He didn't appreciate her toying with him. It hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just ignore it. Maybe she'll go away.
But no, it was still very out of character. His reaction to her, I thought, is like, well, where'd that come from? Maybe he did take that drug. No.
They go places like for instance, those two guys, the bad guys, the split head dudes, whatever their names are, the Malmori guys. The two Malmori guys are watching over the planet. They are pretty much the only ones that have a lot of lines other than Sador. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they fly over the planet just for the hell of it at one point, and they beam up a poor young woman from planet surface, and he rapes her.
Yeah,
right?
That was kind of interesting for... Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he comes up, the guy's like, get up here, and he comes in, I'm busy, and he's adjusting his... And when she comes out, she's trying to straighten her clothes, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was raping her. And then they die right after that, including her.
Including her. Mm-hmm.
That's not Star Wars. There's no rape in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm, right. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
It's like, was that necessary? Other than, I mean, we already knew these creatures were bad. Did we need that to make them even more bad? I don't think so. I don't think that was necessary.
I didn't.
And if you look closely, there's a point where Darlene and Sybil are down on the planet, and the Sybil says to Darlene's quote, I could do wonders for that boy.
I could do wonders for that boy.
If you look closely, within her holster garter is a white business card.
Oh, seriously? Mm-hmm. Now there's some trivia for
There's
you.
a little Easter egg for you to look for.
No, of course we weren't looking. Yeah,
we weren't looking for Easter eggs. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't looking.
Though you did catch when Gelt was killed,
mm-hmm.
that he was breathing.
Yes, he was very obviously breathing.
Very obviously breathing. They were burying him with his meal, and that's where I made the comment, well, it's a good thing they're burying him with the meal. So
because he's obviously still alive.
Obviously not dead. So for an actor who was being paid a lot, you would think he could play dead better than that.
I think probably my favorite, that is to say the most ridiculous, but also the funniest scene for me was when they're all gathered down there on the planet, and the two Kelvins are sitting back to back, and they are in the form of a campfire. Everyone is sitting around them as if the Kelvins are a campfire, and that was hilarious. They were even roasting hot dogs.
Yeah, that was there again. Well, what purpose did that scene do? I mean, I guess other than the fact that I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what the.
That scene was its own purpose. It was its own purpose, baby. It needs to exist in the world of science fiction.
I guess they were bonding before the battle. Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when Cowboy was getting a drink off of his belt, essentially peeing into a cup is what it looked like, into a glass. He had his drinks and his mix and even the ice cubes. Didn't he even have ice cubes on his belt?
Yep, his drink and his club soda and his ice cubes.
Oh, so that's right. It was club soda.
Yeah. Because the only reason I remember that is as he went to get his final drink for his final battle, he didn't add the club soda and the ice and the...
He just peed in it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, anyway.
Yeah, they asked, well, where's your club soda? And ice. Not this time.
Not this time. That was just 5 minutes of pure joy, babe. The campfire, the pea cups, the whole bit, that was all within about 5 minutes. Okay. And it was pure gold. Okay, go ahead.
They even described what a hot dog is made of, see?
Yes, they did.
A hot dog is for you.
Now I'm going to have to tell them it was this.
Hydrolyzed vegetable protein, soybean meal, niacin, dextrose, and sodium nitrate flavoring. Yep.
Yeah, that's what's in hot dogs. No meat, apparently.
No meat, just that. Yeah. So, another Easter egg during Saint X-Men's final battle against Sador.
Uh-huh.
If you look closely in the left side of the screen over actress Sybil's right shoulder, you can see a crewman.
Oh, you can?
Crewman there. You can they're also there during the second, third, and fourth cuts to her during the battle.
Oh my God.
You can see a crewman. He's sitting right there just behind just behind the wall behind Sybil. If you look closely, there's another Easter egg for you.
You know you're going to make me have to
Go
stream this again, right? I have to get sound clips anyway, so I might as well check those things out.
For that.
That's awesome. Are you kidding? Do you have a tolerance for pain, babe?
I have some. Our daughter Amber has a very high tolerance of pain. And I do too, because I will get mystery cuts and not even know I've been cut. And I'll look down and say, where's that blood coming from? So I have some tolerance of pain, but there are people on this show that don't, huh?
Yeah, the Nestor guys apparently don't have a tolerance for pain.
Obviously, if you have no tolerance, any pain would cause you to die, huh? They were very adamant to tell you they had no pain tolerance, not low.
Will people not torture me if I just tell them I have no tolerance for pain? I will not abide this. Do not torture me.
Well, I guess because then you can't be tortured, can you? So if they get pleasure out of torture, if you tell them I have no pain tolerance, then there goes their pleasure, right? Because they don't want you to die. They want to torture you.
Okay,
so they're not going to get pleasure from me and Amber because we have such a high pain tolerance. Yeah, you're going to have to do some. Not that I want to be tortured.
I was thinking he was saying my tolerance is so low it does almost non-existent, which means I can't handle any torture at all.
Yeah.
But that's not what he was saying. He was saying
he had
nothing, period.
Yeah,
so you might as well
play
not.
that. Listen to that, because they said, how's his, they say, he has no pain tolerance, none.
Do you have a high tolerance for pain?
Almost none at all, I'm afraid.
How unfortunate for you.
He died. They took off his arm and he immediately died.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. Anyway.
They took it off without any anesthesia, I imagine. That probably hurts.
Well, yeah, I don't know. The Malmori have, I think that I got that name right. Did you see how I just said that right off and it sounded right?
Wow.
Yes, the Malmori have the best/worst way of firing their weapons on their ships. They have these keyboards that kind of look like a regular computer keyboard with large buttons on it, and they just bang on it. Every time they went in, they had that one shot of that guy who would hit it, and then he'd pull his arm up in the air like I'm playing a piano.
Yeah.
And he would hit it and hit it and hit it and hold it, and then fling his arm back up in the air.
Yeah.
And that's how he fired the weapon. That was, geez, can you imagine being trained that way?
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the best shot in the whole group, which is to say they're all like stormtroopers. They can't hit anything. But but no wonder if that's the way you fire weapons, no wonder you can't do very well. I mean, come
inefficient.
on. How in the world did that guy take over everything? I have no idea.
How did you aim? I guess, maybe their buttons had to be pushed with such force that he had to do it that way.
My final note is sound effects, explosion. Mm-hmm. Sound effects, explosion. Sound effects, explosion. Sex, talk, explosion.
Mm-hmm. And some of the explosions were I guess a lot. I mean, there again, when you have a limited money, they use the same explosions over and over.
Yep.
And so if you look carefully during some of the explosions, especially there's one explosion that occurs after the Nestor ship has been destroyed, that the Nestor ship is back.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, look at that Easter egg.
And sometimes the sequence that they showed the explosion was opposite of what you would expect to know who won the battle. Mm-hmm. So it was like one would fire and then they show a shot of the other and then there would be an explosion and you were like, okay, which ship just exploded? Because they were both just shown firing at each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, oh, okay, that guy's still around. As a matter of fact, when Saint X-Men died, we thought she died like a scene before she actually died.
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure out who the heck that was that had flown into the ship because it wasn't her.
Yep, wasn't her. Mm-hmm.
Somebody had flown into the ship and it didn't do that much damage. And then she explodes. Yeah. She sacrifices herself amidst all those other guys out there. So.
Yeah. True Valkyrie.
Yeah, she is such a true Valkyrie, isn't she?
Well, here's a little bit of trivia. Did you know
No.
that Bill Paxton was employed on this set?
Doing what?
He was a carpenter. He built some of the stage props.
Now, Are you sure he was a carpenter or the son of a carpenter?
Nope. He was employed on the set as a carpenter, and that's where James Cameron first met him. And so when he casted him in Aliens, he says, quote, "So my first memory of Bill was him pounding nails and cracking everybody up."
Oh.
So, yeah.
And he
He said he knew that he said we'd be working at 3 or 4 in the morning, and he would be the one that kept all our spirits up.
Aw. Oh, Bill Paxton.
So that's where they first met and how he got picked.
And that's it. Dun 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 dun. Oh, the bad guy doesn't win.
Oh, the bad guy didn't win?
No, the bad guy doesn't win at the end. It's not one of those movies. It's not a foreign film.
This actually was released in the theaters. Wow.
Oh, yeah, it did. I didn't see it at the theater back then, but...
grossed $1.7 million in its opening weekend.
See? Look. It was...
considered a cult classic.
Yes, it is. You are absolutely correct, which means you don't like it.
Well, I like some cult classics. I mean, like Rocky Horror Picture Show. I like that.
Well, this is just like that, except with fewer transvestites.
Yeah.
It's just like it, babe. Exactly the same thing.
No, Rocky Horror Picture Show at least built the characters.
Okay, would you recommend anyone see this? If they're not into bad movies, no, probably, huh?
Well, there are worse. There are worse movies. I mean, it does have some well-known actors and actresses in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think just because of some of our trivia points and Easter eggs that we found along the way, it's more interesting than some of the horrible things you've made me watch.
And it's a cult classic that has all kinds of trivia that we didn't cover, and half the things I've forgotten about you'll figure out on your own. There you go.
Yeah, but I think, if you have nothing else to watch and you're thinking, what do I watch tonight? Yeah, put this on. Yeah.
These days, that is not an issue. There are plenty of things to watch. But
oh, in fact, what did we do on Friday night? Wasn't it Friday night?
Yeah, we binged something with Courtney.
Upload.
We
watched all 10 episodes of Upload Friday evening.
Yep.
It was that good.
Until like 12:30 in the morning.
We can recommend
12:30 or 1 in the morning.
Upload.
Yeah,
this podcast wasn't about Upload. So.
No, it wasn't about Upload, but we watched it and enjoyed it. Yeah, very much had the vibe of The Good Place.
Yep.
Yeah. If you would like to give us your opinion of Battle Beyond the Stars or Battle Amongst the Stars or Battle Before the Stars or not even at the stars but really want to fight someone, you may write to us cavebabble@gmail.com, or you can go over to cavebabble.com, see a list of our shows on our blog. Or you may join our Facebook group. Go to Facebook, search for Cavebabble, ask to join, and we will accept you. We're very accepting. And finally, you may subscribe to us on iTunes. We would love for you to do that. Search for Cavebabble Podcast and subscribe on iTunes. And if you like what you hear, throw a few stars our direction, would you? Would it kill you to do that? No, it would not. Okay, is that it?
Is that it? Well, I was just going to end by saying when you go out in public, please wear your face mask. Remember to wash your hands frequently. Keep your hands away from your face. And please just be safe and smart.
Safe and smart? I don't know if I can do both of those. Which would you prefer me to be?
Both, because there's some people not being very smart, which then, of course, leads them to not be very safe, which then, of course, puts the rest of us at risk. So
that's right, Mom. That's right.
That's not Mom. That's me being the infection preventionist that I am.
That's right. Words to live by. Hopefully we will live by them.
Yeah, I want to. I want to live a little bit longer. So
me too. All right, everyone. Thanks for all the downloads and listens. And until next time, we're out of here.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Cavebabble.
15 years, blowing the doors off the competition, podcasting to planet Earth.
PNR.